everyone. We're going to Chester River, which is about 25 miles down the Chesapeake.
Going where the fair winds blow, our home is where the waters flow. We'll show you what we've come to know on board while sailing wisdom.
We've been on a beam reach to kind of close reach the whole way here. And now we're making the turn. We're going downwind. We get to ease everything and go on a nice broad reach. So peaceful and relaxing, and we're just making our way to Reed Creek, which is where we're going in the Chester River. I'm really liking this Chester River deal. It's so pretty. We've only been here once before, so if you guys have any suggestions for really cool anchorages in the Chester River, let us know. We'll check them out.
Just watch. Such is life with a corgi.
I was enjoying it.
Our choice to sail to Chester River wasn't random. We're actually meeting up with members of the Allberg 30 Club, of which we are a part. And so it's going to be really fun to get together. I'm sure they'll all be in their Allberg 30s, and we'll be showing up in a Morgan 45, and they'll be like, what are you doing? But they're really great people, and we're looking forward to rafting up and having a fun little weekend excursion. We have had some amazing sailing this afternoon. Winds came, we were going 6 knots, sometimes above 6 knots. We were over 18 degrees, sometimes 20 degrees. But then we saw some weather coming, so we got down Josh, and now we're just flying steadily on Monty and Stan, and still having a grand time out here.
Okay, we made it here to Reed Creek. We're coming in the inlet, and it is skinny. So, a thing to note, Allberg 30s have a draft of about 4.5 feet. We have a draft of about 6.5 feet. So, good morning, everyone. So we're anchored here in Reed Creek off the Chester River. We had a great night in that raft up last night, but around 4 in the morning, it got really windy and the raft started to drift and drag. So we broke off, we dropped our anchor and separated from everyone else because we weigh a little over 30,000 pounds, where those Allbergs weigh about 9,000 pounds. So by dropping us, hopefully they'd then not drag as much. So that was the goal. Anyway, now it's the morning. We're gonna take Morty to shore. There's some nice sandy beaches that came out at low tide, and now we're going to just get our day started.
Okay, Herbie's gonna take Harry on a little dinghy excursion while I take a nap. Yes, are you ready? You ready to go explore with Poppy?
One thing that's really nice about our electric outboard is we can go places and it's quiet. So, you know, we're now going to be exploring nature and looking at all the animals that are living along the shoreline. We're not disturbing anything with this loud, noisy engine while we go in there. When we get into really shallow parts, we can do this. You can't do that with a gas outboard. That's just not gonna happen. Mira, y ahí tenemos insectos que están caminando sobre el agua. Son tan chiquitos. Vamos a acercarnos a ellos. So to some people, this looks like muck and rocks. But there's a whole bunch of life that happens right at the shore's edge. So the Chesapeake is actually a really cool ecosystem because it's brackish. So you have changes in salinity between fresh and salt and everywhere in between. Most of the bay is about half as salty as the ocean. So you get a lot of plants and you get just so many different animals that'll live right here at the shore's edge. Already I see barnacles, water walkers, I've seen a couple fish. We had some deer that we spooked and they ran away. If you guys have kids, you can get hours of entertainment with the simple things you can find while exploring the shoreside. When I was a kid, I loved going out to the reefs and just finding shells and different animals and just looking at them and just observing. I loved it. It was like my favorite thing to do when we went out to the water. So it's so nice to be able to bring that to him and be able to do that here. It's nothing like the waters I grew up in, because I grew up in the tropical waters of Puerto Rico, where we had, you know, salt water and coral and clear water. But it's still really cool to be able to take him to the water and have him explore himself the same way I used to do. It's just so cool watching him play with the things that I used to look at and play with as well. Qué bueno, Harry. ¿Lo viraste? Sí.
Sí.
Hi, boy. Hello, Morty. This little outing, this cute little adventure had two purposes. A, to get away and go sailing, and B, to test out these new batteries that were sent to us.
They're from Power Queen. They're 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate batteries.
Now, we're going to tell you what we look for in a lithium battery and what you should look for in a safe lithium battery. And usually we build our own, but the materials to build your own are actually the same cost as these batteries that were sent to us. So we're going to talk about the pros and the cons of these batteries.
The things that we look for in a lithium battery are high-grade lithium iron phosphate cells. You can get lithium ion and lithium iron phosphate. Lithium ion is the one that bursts into flames. You don't want to put that in a boat. Lithium iron phosphate is the safer battery chemistry. So that's thing number one that we look for.
The other thing we look for in a good battery is the BMS, Battery Management System. This allows us to know exactly how well the battery is working. It basically checks the voltages, the temperatures, and the charges of the battery. So you know your battery is working well and working safely. Two very important things when you're dealing with lithium batteries.
So these batteries have a couple key points that I really like. One, they're sealed. They're waterproof, watertight. I don't know if they can get submerged, but the point is, if they get splashed, you're not gonna have issues. Second, the BMS that they use actually works. It does its things. When it gets really cold, it cuts off. When the charge is too great, it cuts off. If the cells go out of whack, it cuts off as well. It does all the things that we look for in a BMS. And the third thing, it's made out of grade A cells. They're prismatic cells, and they're well set up, and they're well packaged. So it's a very safe and concise battery at a really affordable price. So back when we were originally doing our lithium batteries, and I looked up the prices and they're still about the same. There's a very well-known lithium battery company that a lot of boats have. They're $1,000 to get a 12-volt 100 amp hour battery. These are a little under $200, so it's a fifth of the price.
So far, the only drawback to these batteries has been the lack of a Bluetooth connection to the BMS. So the batteries may be working well and everything, but we have no way of knowing how much voltage we're using at any given moment, which we have relied on heavily in the past, especially with our electric motor. It's important to know how much we have left of our battery usage and whether it's time to start charging up again. So that's been a little bit of a challenge. I will say though that yesterday we motor sailed for 26 miles, had no problems. At no point did we need to start the generators, which is great and something we have never experienced before. So awesome. But I would recommend trying to see if you can get Bluetooth with these batteries because it would really help out.
So the batteries that Power Queen sent us to test out, I looked up on their website, they're about $190-ish per battery. You can get them in like different bulks. So if you get one, I think it's like just under 200. If you're getting four, it's like 187, 190, somewhere on there. Now, the next step up has Bluetooth connectivity. That one's worth getting. It's like $220 a battery. So for just a little bit more money, you get Bluetooth connectivity, and then you can see everything about your battery, how much power it's giving, how much power it still has, what the temperatures are, all the stuff that I really like to know about our batteries, that right now it's just a mystery because it's running, it's giving power, but I just don't know when it's gonna stop.
On every sailboat, there's the matter of space, and batteries take up a ton of space. Now, these batteries are nice and compact, but they could be even more compact. There's actually a lot of foam used as filler in these batteries.
Now, the reason for this filler is to make these batteries easier to use. If you have a Group 31 battery, this is a direct replacement. So a Group 31 battery is a 100 amp hour, 12 volt battery, and it takes up a set size that's roughly 6 by 8 by 13, roughly. Now, these batteries will drop into that exact space, which is great, but the cells inside, like the actual meat of the battery, is much smaller than that. So to make it a nicely packaged item, they filled all the extra space with foam, which provides no charge and is just literal filler.
And if you're a total nerd like I am and watch anime, you know that nobody likes filler.
So these batteries are really good if you need a drop-in replacement and you're switching from lead acid batteries or AGM batteries and you want to go with lithium. This is a very easy way. It'll fit your battery box, everything hooks up the same. And the big advantage is that you're going to more than double your battery capacity, because if you have a lead acid Group 31 battery, it holds 100 amp hours, but it will not give you those 100 amp hours. It'll give you like 50 to 60 of them. This sucker will give you the full 100 amp hours. So if you have two batteries in your boat, you currently have about 100 to 120 amp hours available. If you switch to lithium, instantly you have 200 amp hours.
There's a lot of fear around lithium batteries, and I feel like that is what's keeping a lot of people from going electric with their boats. And I will say that a lot of those fears are well placed and warranted. The thing you have to know about pretty much any large change you make to your boat, is you have to do so much research to make sure that you're doing everything correctly and safely. Lithium is a phenomenal source of power if you do it right. And the technology is only getting better and the prices are only coming down. So when we switched to electric, yeah, it didn't make much sense for almost anybody to do that, especially since we had our AGM still and we had so little power. I mean, it was a little bit insane, but we still have no regrets. I will say, now is a great time to switch to electric, and in the future, it's gonna be even better. But again, you have to know what you're doing with lithium batteries.
The biggest danger with lithium batteries on a boat is fire. Now, there are many easy ways to prevent the fire from happening in the first place, which then keeps everything safe. So the first one is the correct chemistry. Never put lithium-ion batteries in a boat, because those are the ones that burst into flames in those electric car fires that no one can put out because they will burn forever until they run out of fuel. Lithium iron phosphate is a lot safer chemistry for the battery's chemistry, and it doesn't burst into flames like that. So that's step number one. Step number two is set things up properly. Now, you'll see battery chargers that are programmed and dedicated for lithium batteries and all that. That's a lot of bogus. They're more expensive and they don't actually do anything special. A simple lead acid battery charger that provides a high enough voltage will charge your batteries, and they will cut off on their own because the BMS says, I'm full now, stop charging, thank you. You don't need the battery charger to figure out what needs what. That's wasted money. Now, if you have a diesel motor or if you have a fuel motor with an alternator, there is an issue there. So your alternator gives out, say, 100 amps, right? And it's running, and it's charging up a lead acid battery that can accept 30 to 40 amps. So it's running at like 30 to 40% of its capacity all the time. So the alternator's happy and everyone's happy and fine. You put a lithium battery in that can charge at that 100 amps, like these can, and suddenly that alternator will be working at full speed all the time. And it's going to overheat, and then it can burst into flames. So there's a very easy and safe workaround on this issue, which is to have your alternator charge a lead acid battery and then have a DC to DC converter that goes from the lead acid battery to the lithium batteries, but at a controlled rate. So you can have it set so it'll just charge at, say, 20 amps. So it's just a nice simple powering it over, but it's not going to overtax the alternator and give yourself a lovely engine fire to roast all your dreams away.
So like I said, we've been electric for a long time. 9 years, in fact. We've been electric for 9 years, and it was extremely expensive to go electric back when we did, but now the costs have come down a lot.
So when we went electric, we built a 200 amp hour 48 volt battery bank. So teeny tiny. At the time, the lead acid batteries that we used, which were AGM, cost $1,800. Now, the alternative was to use lithium, and that same battery bank would cost $20,000. So our choices were a little less than $2,000 or 10 times the price. Naturally, we went with the AGM batteries. Then about 5 years later, guess what? Those lead acid batteries were dead. So we replaced them. And we were looking at lithium because they've come down in price, but they were still too expensive for us. So we bought lead acid batteries again, and this time it was about $1,600 because they were plain lead acid. We couldn't get AGMs over in Europe that were the right size. So then fast forward a few more years. 3 years ago, we built our own lithium batteries because it was cheaper to build lithium batteries than to buy the lithium batteries. The best part of all of this is when we bought our AGM batteries 9 years ago, they cost $1,800. And today, we could have built that exact same lithium pack for $1,600, which is a far cry from the $20,000 that it was 9 years ago. So it's amazing how technology just improves and then the costs of everything just plummet.
So that's our little battery conversation. If you wish to add to the conversation, please do in the comments. We're not total experts in this area, and some of you might be, so we love to hear from you. And also, any questions that you might have, we'd be happy to answer further. And if you're interested in buying these batteries that we've been testing out on this trip, we do recommend them, and we've linked to them in the description down below. Almost time for dinner.
There you go.
You wanna go too, Jerry?
Come here, Jerry. Jerry, come on in. Oh, wrong way, Jerry. Wrong way, Jerry. There you go. Go on in.
Change is constant, learning to flow.
Uh-oh, did you drop your milk?
Lemons thrown. May look different from what you've dreamed. Colors and contrast making it art. What if happy can be built? Tuning into all that's good. Lucky I learned what lemons can do. Lucky they let me here with you. Lucky.
Good morning. We're just getting our breakfast, and then we're gonna pull up anchor and head back to Baltimore. Yesterday was an incredibly relaxing day. There's nothing around us. We just spent the whole day on the boat, just hanging out, having a peaceful day, and it was really what we needed, just to get away from everything, and have a day all to ourselves. Everyone enjoyed it.
Can we help you, Charles? Charlie, is there anything you'd like to add? Aside from the scream?
Ain't it funny? Thought I was lacking. Then I realized all is within.
Do you want me to grab it?
If you want.
All your
Taking us to this
We got?
started.
Yeah.
It's your choice which way you go. What if happy can be built?
This reminds me a little bit of Georgia, just meandering through the windy ICW with all of the grasses and nature around. It's one of the most skipped parts of the ICW because there really isn't much in terms of civilization, and it's so windy that most people go outside and skip Georgia altogether. But it was one of our favorite parts of the ICW. We would definitely do it again.
8 hours to go. The batteries are about 3/4-ish charge, about 65%, so a little less than 3/4. They were 3/4 yesterday. But yeah. So we got 7.5 hours to get to outside the Key Bridge, and we have approximately 4 hours of battery life left. So that's where sails come in.
To accept what I can't change.
diagonal has more food in it than if you cut the same thing vertical. Look at that one. So I went to tighten our Bimini because it's rocking a bit and it just snapped. So I'm gonna real quick lash up a backstay for it in Dyneema because all our solar panels and all that weight is now supported by one other very old looking and stretching, now that I look at it, strap. So that's not good. Okay, we made it in. It's super late, but we had a great sail. It was just such a beautiful day. It started off really windy, but then it just calmed down and it just became perfect. We were just gliding along. It's everything you could ever want. So we're back in Baltimore and can't wait to go on the next adventure.
Thanks for watching this episode of Sailing Wisdom. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next Rigging Doctor episode. And if you're interested in even more Rigging Doctor awesomeness, consider becoming a patron to see all of our extras. Can't wait to see you next time as you join us out here on the high seas.